All right, Clemson Tiger fans, let's talk about last night. Yesterday afternoon, the game between Clemson and the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. This is a game I want to forget very badly, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. Just from everything we saw in that matchup that went wrong. I mean, granted we won. A win is a win. We'll take it. But I fully expect that we're going to drop in the standings after this game. Just based on how well Florida played in their matchup, Notre Dame won theirs. Penn State beat Auburn, which was a ranked team. So those programs are all going to move up in the rankings. Clemson right now is 6. It's probably going to move down. I wouldn't be shocked if they end up at 8, 9, or even 10 at this point. It's basically because they have never looked, the offense has not looked in sync whatsoever. I've got a couple of takeaways from this game I want to talk about real briefly before getting into any kind of stats or really reading out the numbers. But as you might know, score of Clemson won 14-8 against Georgia Tech, a team that I actually was there when they faced Georgia Tech, not in 2020, obviously, but in 2019, we blew them out very significantly in the second half. I think that was a Georgia Tech game, I'm pretty sure. But I'm also sure that was a night game, I think. But this game here, too many negative running plays for Clemson. Yeah, the running game actually did a lot of work for us tonight, or I guess last night. Will Shipley was running well. 21 carries for 88 yards, 4.2 yards per carry. That's fairly efficient. Adding a level 2 touchdowns as well. So the running game was doing work for us, but there were way too many situations where it was like 2nd and 13, 3rd and 15. Like there were too many opportunities for us to just turn the ball over on downs or have to punt away because we're backed up so much on 3rd down. And we actually converted a fairly decent number of those from what I saw. But really, there was no point why we should be putting ourselves in that situation. I mean, we were 9 for 15 on 3rd down. That's really good efficiency-wise, considering the fact that a lot of those situations we were, again, backed up 12, 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage, behind the first down marker because of negative running plays. Or penalties. There were a lot of mental errors last night. Joe has to swipe that ball out of bounds when they did the onside kick for Georgia Tech that they recovered. Ended up driving down the field and almost winning the game. Joe has to knock that ball out of bounds, or he has to make a play for that ball to make sure that Georgia Tech does not get it. But that's another thing I want to talk about later on. So too many negative running plays. We're setting the offense back. We're not staying on schedule. 3rd and 3 is so much easier than 3rd and 13. I shouldn't even have to say that. So the situation right now offensively, we need to come up with a better offensive game plan. One that can keep us on schedule more frequently, and one that's not going to set us up to fail on 3rd downs. Granted, again, we were successful on most 3rd downs last night, but against teams that are better than Georgia Tech, that won't be an option. Next thing, DJ Uiagalelei still does not look comfortable at all. He really does not. And he does not look, he's not even 50% of what he was against Notre Dame and Boston College last year. The guy I saw against Notre Dame and Boston College had some swagger to him. There was just unlimited feel of confidence. He was feeling free to make mistakes, knowing that he was not going to really suffer for it. And he was feeling free to try all these things and go deep and make all these awesome plays. And I loved seeing him last year. But he has not been there. He's been a shell of himself. He's not been that at all this season. I mean, last night, 18 for 25 for 126 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. And 8 carries for 46 yards. I mean, that's fine. This is Georgia Tech, though. If you can't put up a 200-yard game, really score a touchdown against Georgia Tech, and granted, I understand, only 25 pass attempts, a lot of them were short. But come on, guys. Come on. It wasn't like you were just playing with your food. You had to win this game. You had to go out there and win this game, and you didn't. The defense won this game. And the offense at some point for Clemson has to show they can beat a competent opponent. And Georgia Tech's a team that in the past I wouldn't even classify as competent. Well, I have to now because Clemson is making it seem like they are. And of course, last week they had the blowout, South Carolina State 49-3. But come on, guys. You can't be banking too much on that. We play NC State this coming week. And NC State's going to give us much more of a fight. Two teams that we always seem to, I don't want to say struggle against, but always have good matchups against. NC State, obviously South Carolina is a team that's going to be interesting. We face them in the final game of the regular season. But it's NC State, Boston College, Syracuse, Pitt, FSU, Louisville, UConn, Wake Forest, then SC. That's our remaining schedule. South Carolina State and Georgia Tech were possibly the easiest back-to-back games on our schedule this year. The easiest back-to-back games. And we crushed SC State, and we barely beat Georgia Tech. And to be honest, we really shouldn't have. And I'm being honest there, we really deserve to lose that one, based on what we did late in the game, based on the onside recovery where JoJo does not make enough of a play on the ball, based on the safety, which is totally inexplicable why you'd run that play. I've seen This play haunts me over and over again. So I saw Pittsburgh. I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan in the NFL, and I've seen Pittsburgh. I remember, I forget, it wasn't in the playoffs, but they faced the Jets one year. And Jason Taylor, when he was on the Jets, got a safety on Pittsburgh because we tried running it out of the end zone, basically. We were on like the 1 inch yard line or something like that. And we tried running the ball, and the Jets got a safety on us. And that play has haunted me ever since. And it's the same situation here. I know you're trying to make space so you can have more of an opportunity, but if you're running your offense primarily out of shotgun, which they do at Clemson, it's not going to work, guys. It just won't work. I mean, if there's any kind of push from the defensive front, you're not going to get out of the end zone. And again, Clemson does not have the offensive line right now. They don't have the horses up front to create that kind of push. You can't bet on the line creating running lanes on any given play. You can't. Now, can they? Absolutely. But you can't bet on it, especially at a crucial situation in the game like this. So that was mental. To be honest, I'm a little harsh on the players here for this game, but really, a lot of the blame goes to the coaches. I think the coaching staff, this was not a well-coached game. It just wasn't. Offensively, like I said, no rhythm, constantly off schedule or set back in the schedule on downs. And then, of course, the safety call. Like, you just can't play this way. Whatever they're trying to do right now, it's not working. You need to change things up. And this was not clearly the right way to go against Georgia Tech. You cannot bring the same situation out there against NC State next week. You can't do it against Boston College, even though I know Boston College, I think, has lost Phil Jurkovec for the season, I think. So it's going to be a little bit of a different situation there against BC. Maybe not the challenge I thought they were going to be at the start of the year. But even like teams like Syracuse, Pitt, not necessarily good teams, but you can never doubt them because they always show up sometimes. There have been games in the past where they've shown up and given Clemson a fight for a half or so. And if they've done that against a good Clemson team, imagine what they'll do against this one. So, because this is not a good Clemson team right now. That's how the defense side of the ball. I've harped on too much on this stuff. Let me keep going. We're lucky the defense bent and didn't break at any point in the game. Because they did bend, and they bent quite a bit, a little bit too much for my liking. But again, the defense won us this game. Some takeaways for the defense side of the ball. Andrew Booth Jr. did not have a good game. He is potentially the best or second best cornerback in this upcoming NFL draft class, right behind Derek Stingley Jr. Maybe even better than him at this point. But Booth did not have a good game. I think he allowed 3 to 5 receptions, somewhere in that range, which was not making the plays we're used to. Allowed way too many catches. It was only for about 40 yards total, but at the same point, you can't allow that. It's 4 first downs. So Booth did not play his best football. I'm a little surprised with Myles Murphy. I know he had a couple of plays last night where he was involved in some tackles in the backfield. But I was really expecting more from Myles Murphy this season. He has not been the player he was last year in terms of the impact plays in the backfield, the sacks, anything like that. So Myles Murphy, to me, has been a little... he's not been... I don't want to say disappointing, because you can never set the huge expectations for a guy who had a really good freshman year and expect him to necessarily always live up to them. I feel bad doing that, but he's not been as impactful defensively as I expected him to be this year. Brian Brzee, by the way, had a great night last night. 1.5 sacks, 2 tackles for loss. But still, that defensive front, while it's been really good, and is really talented, loaded with future NFL talent as well, the defense always allows a couple of chunk plays a game, particularly in the running game usually, and that's just going to hurt. Because right now, a team like Alabama, let's say Alabama, even though Alabama this week only won by, I think, 2 or 3 points. By 2 points, actually. Alabama's defense can allow a few chunk plays a game usually. Because the offense is so good, they're going to win by a couple touchdowns in most situations. So the defense can allow a couple of chunk plays because the offense will cover for them. Our defense can't necessarily allow those chunk plays. Because if we allow those chunk plays, the offense isn't going to cover for it. So that's just something to keep an eye on with the defense. I do love the defense. I think the defense is playing phenomenal right now. I love a lot of the players on that defensive side of the ball. I really look forward to them getting to the NFL and making millions of dollars because I do love that unit. It's just that, there are a couple plays every game. They're a little bit head-scratching where there's a long run, there's the long pass, there's broken coverage, something like that. And you have to be a little bit worried that's eventually going to come back to bite Clemson. What else? I said DJ still doesn't look comfortable at all. He does not look, like I said, looks like a shell himself. One of these wide receivers needs to step up. I thought it was going to be Joseph Ngata after the first game against Georgia. He's had fewer and fewer receptions and yards ever since then. He only had 2 catches for 25 yards last night. Justin Ross, 7 catches for 61 yards. That's only 8.7 yards per catch. I don't understand why so much of the stuff we're doing is so short. I get the offensive line can't protect for a long time, but it's Georgia Tech. You have to be able to, you can't get any kind of pass protection against Georgia Tech to allow guys to get 20 to 25 yards downfield then you might as well just not even take a bid to go into the playoffs because you're not going to survive. You're not going to make it. You won't even make the playoffs if your offensive line cannot give you time to throw a deep pass against Georgia Tech. The longest completion we had last night was 17 yards to a running back. So I'm guessing a lot of that was probably yards after the catch. This is what the offense is missing. The verticality. Last year, with Amari Rodgers, Cornell Powell, even without Justin Ross, even without T. Higgins, who we had the year before that, there were so many vertical plays. Even against, look at the Notre Dame game. I know Cornell Powell had a couple of big plays in that game. I remember that. So if Cornell Powell and Amari Rodgers were your vertical guys last year, you get Justin Ross back, who is a bit of a jump ball guy, doesn't have a lot of separation, but can still get vertical for you. E.G. Williams is missing time right now. But how can, between the combination of Justin Ross, Joseph Nagata, Frank Latson Jr., Joe, how in the combination of those guys can you not get anyone who can get vertical for a big play against Georgia Tech? Clemson offense lived and thrived on the big plays during my time when I was at Clemson, the 3.5 years I was there. The offense was so focused on hitting those chunk plays, that 45-yard touchdown pass every now and then to a breaking away T. Higgins or Justin Ross. The huge run, the huge breakaway run from Travis Etienne. I don't expect that this year because, again, they're changing at the running backs, the offensive line. But how can we not get the big plays in the passing game? I just think that's something we need to get back to. Getting vertical in the passing game, getting those big plays is going to be huge for us going forward. That just about covers everything I had to say. I know it's been 11 minutes, 12 minutes almost of me ranting, but there were some good things last night, mainly from the defense. Guys swarming to the football. Guys who are not necessarily part of the big future NFL talent on the Clemson front who are making plays in the backfield, getting to the quarterback. Always great to see. But again, the offense just does not look like itself right now. DJ's confidence is hopefully holding up. He needs to get back to where it was last year, because last year, again, was phenomenal for him. Myles Murphy needs to get back to where it was last year. Andrew Booth will rebound. I'm pretty sure about that. But, just a lot of stuff to take in from last night's game, because, again, was not what we were expecting, not what we were hoping for, obviously. Yeah, I had to put a lot of it on the coaching staff, though. And hopefully, they have to come up with a better game plan against NC State. Otherwise, it could be another long, long afternoon. So, we'll see how that plays out. But hopefully, the next game is better than this one.